Hey everybody, welcome in. It's the Vitamin Energy Warchant Wrap, vitaminenergy.com, promo code Warchant BOGO, Warchant B-O-G-O. Type that into your screen. Guess what happens, Ira?
2 for 1.
This man knows. He knows lots. He doesn't drink too many things, but he knows lots of things, everybody. VitaminEnergy.com, promo code Warchant BOGO, buy one, get one free. Little bottle, little itty-bitty bottle, vitamins, nutrients, 260 milligrams, all natural caffeine.
It's amazing they put all that good stuff in one little bottle.
No sugar crash. Take advantage. The blue raspberry. Still going to keep talking about it, everybody. Tastes real good on the palate. Also helps out the immune system. All right, we're at practice Thursday, bye week. Little less scout team stuff is what Coach Norvell said. A little bit more training camp-esque kind of look. A lot of one-on-one, a lot of 7-on-7, not that much 11-on-11. But, you know, when we talked to Norvell after practice, it seemed like, you know, it was a lot of big picture stuff. And the first question he was asked after his opening statement was like, you know, what'd you see from the Boston College film? And I feel like if we would have let him talk for like 40 minutes, he would have kept going on and on about that game. Maybe not the most glowing things to say about it, but just you can tell it's they're feeling the 0-2, man.
Yeah, and you know, I think that's what's interesting about a practice like this. When you come to a practice when a team is 0-2, that came into the year top 10 in the country, aspirations to win the ACC, go to the playoffs, and here you are sitting at 0-2, you wonder, like, when you come to practice, okay, what are they going to do differently? What are they going to change? What are they going to change things up, whether it's personnel, whether it's the coaching styles? And, you know, Mike Norvell's like, look, man, that's not how we have to approach this. We need to focus on today, getting better today, just like that was a focus last week, just like that was a focus before. And again, I think sometimes as fans of media, we're like, okay, you got to change something because this ain't working. And I think Mike Norvell's approach is we just have to be better. So I think that's part of the idea of going back to a little bit more basics, fundamentals, blocking, tackling, not so much worrying about what the other team's going to do, but worrying about themselves.
It just seemed to be kind of a indicative practice for me, Ira, just in terms of like high moments, low moments. I mean, they go into an 11-on-11 cash situation, which is a third down. And the very first play, it's a false start. And you're like, how are we breaking in practice? And we're starting a new period, we're starting a new sequence, and we get a false start. But then I think DJ ends up ripping off like 3 straight positive plays after that sequence. And you're like, why can't we just stay out of our own way for like more than 5 minutes?
It's so funny. I was standing there talking to somebody when DJ hit some of those throws, and he had some amazing throws today.
He did. He really did.
And I'm like, I can't wait till we tell people how great he threw the ball, and they're going to be like, why are you lying to us again? No, he did. He had some really nice throws. I mean, some beautiful throws. Better than he's had in practices, I think, lately.
I really feel like it might be the best practice I've seen out of him. I qualify that, though, with he's played so much football. I'm sure that he's had good bounce back days. I mean, listen, Dabo stuck with him for 20 whatever games. I'm sure he saw things out of him in practice. Like, all right, man, good response out of him. We'll roll him back out there next week and see what happens. And then, you know, sometimes it worked out, sometimes it did not. So I take that with a kind of a grain of salt, I guess. But, I mean, I know people want to see about a quarterback change, hear about a quarterback change. We can't talk about depth charts, personnel stuff, but I wouldn't hold my breath for that. And also, to be fair, man, as a coach, you can't just throw stuff against the wall. Maybe to make you folks happy, you want to see that happen, but I don't know how you can do that for a locker room because, to be honest, like Brock did not look good at all today. Well, Brock had his last drive of the day was great, and you're like, man, if he would have played like this all day, I told everybody, I'm like, I would have gone on every single platform we have on Warchant, like, dude, he should start the game, but he did not do that. He only did that for 3 plays in a small sequence.
And you have to wonder, you know, man, he's human, and he knows that that maybe the door's open, so maybe he pressed a little bit earlier in practice. You know, again, there's so many things that, but again, as a coaching staff, you've evaluated DJ through the course of a preseason practice, and you feel like he's the guy, and, you know, it is challenging to just abandon that. And the other point he made, and I thought he was pretty harsh, not harsh, but he was pretty direct about some of these other guys not playing well around him. Yeah. I mean, he pointed out that, you know, the first third down pass, he didn't name the player, it's Lawrence Tofield.
But he specifies a guy that's done a lot of good stuff for us at running back, and it's like, ugh.
And it was just like, hey, these guys need to make the plays too. Yeah. And they had a bunch of drop passes in that game. And again, I think his belief is, Mike Norvell's belief is, they just have so many new pieces and so many guys that are pressing, trying to do too much, that when they relax and just play, maybe get some confidence, maybe win a football game, maybe next Saturday we'll see, then it just changes the way they go about their business and takes a lot of pressure off them. He talked about it. He said he talked to the team today about you can't worry about where you're going to get drafted. You can't worry about the fact that we're not going to win the ACC or any of those long-term goals. You just have to focus on this, which makes you think he feels like maybe that was weighing on them somewhat in the first couple of games.
Well, at least last week, right? I mean, Georgia Tech, you really can't say that, but you feel like maybe like we have to stop the bleeding against Boston College, and we still have all this stuff ahead of us if we can just get it right now and then maybe start pressing a little bit. So hopefully a week off, they can kind of flush some of that out of their system. But again, I feel like offensive line is something that we're going to see maybe some changes on. I want to say out of like personnel necessity, but I think just out of attrition right now, they're a bit banged up on the offensive line, so maybe that can give them a little bit of a spark. But I don't know. I mean, just overall, I mean, can you feel the spirit that you need to feel out of a team when you watch a practice like this, Ira, to think they're going to be able to bounce back after a week off, or just you don't want to even get into the prediction game right now on that?
No, I mean, because, part of it is, and he talked about that also, if you watch his video, he talked about, just the needing leaders to emerge, but it's not just about like standing up and screaming and like, yelling at guys or whatever. It's got to be natural. It's got to be trying to make other guys better. The essential core of leadership is you're trying to pour into other guys, make them better, help them become better, and just yelling at them and holding little pep rallies isn't necessarily the answer. But I think that, one of the things he talked about defensively was, guys being afraid to make mistakes. One of the things that Blake Nicholson talked about was very much, we spoke to Blake Nicholson today, echoed exactly what DJ Lundy and Cam Riley said, was they've got a lot of guys who are trying to make plays that are not their play because they want so badly to reverse what's going on right now that they're not doing their assignment. They're trying to be a hero, and that leads to bigger problems, and they've gotten exposed. So there's a lot of things like that, and a lot of times it feels like monumental changes, but sometimes it's just as simple as doing your job and doing it better and more physically. And I think that's what they're going to be looking for. Now, it sounds like they're going to get a couple days off here this weekend to get healthy. You mentioned that they've got some guys who are banged up after playing two physical football teams. I'm not going to say they were two physical football games, but they played two physical football teams. And then get back into it next week for the Memphis game. But, I don't think you don't get the sense that there's a feeling that they're going to overhaul a lot of things with this team. They just feel like they just got to play better.
Yeah, all the good intentions we keep hearing about, too. Yeah. Hakeem, I think, is a guy that is probably going to be able to help out.
It's good to see him make
some.
Yeah, he looked good today.
Yeah, he made plays in 11-on-11. They're like, okay, that can help. And I don't know, maybe just the slight presence of a guy like that just makes a safety a little bit more concerned, just to get a half tick off, like, all right, maybe I need to shade off and help out my corner because this guy's going off today. Plus, that opens up something for the run game.
And he's also one of the better blockers for the receivers, too. I mean, he's a willing blocker, very physical, big frame. And a lot of times when they get on the perimeter, we put so much of the blame on the offensive line when the running game is not doing well. But a lot of times it's those perimeter guys, too, and he definitely could help in that area.
I just really hope in the next week, man, everyone's got their own wish list, man. I hope, because what Coach was talking about in his post-practice comments was just about, like, what he's seeing in game, he's not seeing in practice. Right. Like, there is some sort of level of disconnect, and he talked about, there's guys that are running routes at incorrect depths. There's guys that are cutting in when they should be cutting out. So
Aslan
I fumbled that question.
No, it was
too.
fine. It was a fine question, but it's just funny. His response was funny because he's like, Aslan was like, can you simplify anything so that they don't make those mistakes in the games? And he's like, well, it's 10 yards. Right. You got to make the cut at 10 yards. Yeah. How much more simple can you get? But I think that speaks to the offensive version of what's happening on defense is guys are running the route. They think, hey, if I break this, I'm open now. If I break it now instead of at 10 yards, well, I'm going to be open. But the quarterback's expecting you to break it 10 yards, and it changes now how the defense plays. There's all those things that it's just guys trusting what they've done in practice. And I think it also speaks to what we've been saying. We said all camp was this team looks good. There are a lot of days where they look really good, but it's not carrying over to the field. And, that's going to be the challenge for this coaching staff.
Yeah. I wanted to almost specify more about, like, him talking about they're breaking in when they should be breaking out. Right. Well, then, like, just don't give them that option. Don't give them that option. But they've played all those guys have played so much football out wide that they should probably know better. Let me get to my observations here. I'll go to the ones that got stars next to them. Listen, man, period 3 was actually really nice.
Who?
Period 3 was actually really good.
No, it was sharp.
Which I think is kind of indicative of how days usually go. And there was a good connection there between DJ and Malik Benson, so we'll give him a shout out on that. One-on-ones, really nice PBU by Azaria to start things off there. But then Malik Benson gave him the business on a play, like a huge shot downfield. It was a really nice move. But then they ended that period one-on-ones with Azaria jamming him at the line so much that Malik couldn't even get a route off. Defense celebrates. Norvell's got both of his arms in the air. He was really happy to see that. There were 2 flags on holding, DPI and one-on-ones. Clean that stuff up, boys. Otherwise, we had a nice sack by, what do we call Sione? What's his nickname? Nusi.
Sione Lolahea.
And 11-on-11s. That was not a great sequence for the offense. There was a really good play by Mr. McCoy. LaWayne McCoy had a really good play in 11-on-11s. Really nice catch by Darion Williamson. He's got a star next to his name. He jumped and leaped up and like had to twirl his body to come down with it. Hakeem had a really good catch in 11-on-11 with DJ throwing him the ball. They converted There's 2 conversions from Luke Kromenhoek that went to McCoy, and Elijah Moore was good to see. And then in 7-on-7s, touchdowns from Deuce Spann and Darion Williamson. So those are the stars, asterisks I have highlights. Also, Micaiah Danzy had a bad drop, bounces back, had a really good catch, like shoestring down that would have broke up the field for a huge gain. So
you'd like to see some of those young guys get opportunities on the game because we've seen that talent, and you mentioned several of them there. And it sounds like Mike Norvell said yesterday the practice, which was their normal Sunday practice after a game they did on Tuesday. They skipped, or on Wednesday, they skipped Tuesday because they played so late Monday. And he said the young guys he thought it was a really good practice for those young guys. They get a chance to kind of have like a game situation for guys that didn't play much in the game, and it sounds like that was he liked what he saw from those guys. I mean, I would love to see some of these young skilled guys get more opportunities.
I get it, yeah.
I'm not saying you bench everybody.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that they've got some special dudes in that younger group.
But then I feel like we're almost kind of like, because their whole thing was like, hey, man, shorten the bench. You're throwing in too many guys in the first week, and now we're like, hey, man, how about you start throwing out some more bodies out there to try to solve these problems? But
fair point.
They've got a week and a half to sit down and figure this stuff out. So I'm really curious to see how they're going to look in practice next week. We'll get to speak to Coach and the coordinators on Monday. We did speak to Maurice Smith, Blake Nicholson, Ja'Kai Douglas. Check out those interviews. Maurice Smith did admit, I would like to have Alex Atkins back there
on team day.
So
it would be nice.
Maybe that could be a thing after the Memphis game they have to sit through. What's going to be going on over at Warchant.com the next few days? Even though it's a bye week, we're never done doing stuff for you because we're a website.
Yeah, a lot of coverage of recruiting, actually. This is going to be a big recruiting weekend. The coaches actually, the one nice thing about a bye is the coaches get to go on the road recruiting. So they'll be spanning the country, spanning the globe, looking for recruits this weekend. They just got a commitment last night from 2026 linebacker, one of the top linebackers in the country.
Let's go.
It's 2026. I know it's a long ways away, but it's some positive news. Michael's actually got a good interview with Tramel Jones, the quarterback who's committed for next year's class, talking about helping them just kind of keep this recruiting class together because that's obviously a big concern when you're not winning football games. So a lot of recruiting coverage, some of the other not off-field things, but like big picture topics we'll be writing about as well over the weekend. So stay connected to Warchant.com.
Absolutely. He's Ira Maslon. Don't forget, VitaminEnergy.com, promo code Warchant BOGO, Warchant BOGO.
2 for 1.
Yeah, keep one on your desk, put one in the break room. Everyone's like, what are these? And then they start working better, and then your guy's stock price goes through the roof. You're welcome, everybody. He's Ira. I'm Maslon. Thanks for watching.